Well, hello there. My name's Doug Meadows. I'm the founder and the visionary and hero maker here at David Douglas Diamonds, and I wanted to welcome you to week 12 of a century of legacy and luxury. And this week I'm broadcasting or recording here in Africa, actually up in Kona, Sierra Leone, Africa. I started my journey last week. I left Atlanta and took a nonstop to Johannesburg, which was 15 and a half hours. I had a 12-hour layover in Johannesburg, and then I had a 2-hour flight up to Lusaka, Zambia. And then in Zambia, I did some business coaching with a taxi business, egg-laying business, and I work with some women there that make jewelry out of recycled copper, and we had to. Things had changed. We had to move some equipment, the gold plating equipment, to a new facility, which is a lot better. The environment's a lot more controlled. The electricity's a lot more consistent, and so we got them all set up with the gold plating. Did some training with the girls, and then. I also do some work up in Uganda, and so the director of the facility up there where we have our vocational school came on down, and we did some brainstorming and some coaching there. Had a wonderful time there. From there, I got on another plane and took a 4-hour flight up to Ethiopia, and had a 3-hour, 4-hour layover there, and then from there I had about a 9-hour flight to get all the way over here to Sierra Leone. And so we started our journey just a couple days ago. We got in our vehicles. We had a convoy of 10 vehicles. So what I'm doing here is what they call a trade mission, and you know, it's funny, I've been on a lot of trade missions and I never really knew what a trade mission was. And so I looked up the definition, and it says a trade mission is an organized trip for business people, companies, state representative to explore business opportunities. You know, and I think back to 1926 when my grandfather started us in this industry. He probably had no idea that, well, back then the trade mission probably didn't even exist, but that, you know, his grandson would be traveling around the world because of what he started back then in 1926. And this particular trip here in Sierra Leone is all about diamonds. And you know, years ago, it's probably been 20-some years ago, 25 years ago, that the movie Blood Diamond came out, and it was a reality to a certain extent. You know, there was a lot of conflict in this area. Sadly, there was a lot of war going on, and one of the ways to fuel war was with diamonds, and that's how they sadly got the name Blood Diamond. And so. You know, even our driver, he's in his 30s, you know, was sadly not been able to see some of the horror of that era that they went through. But currently this country is in peace, and you know, the Blood Diamond doesn't fuel war anymore. You know, we still have, sadly, some smuggling. I think we have that in any industry and in any country. It's hard to make people want to do the right thing. But you know, the part that I'm exploring is the ethical part, the correct way to import diamonds into the U.S., and so that there is traceability to it, that there is ethics to it. You know, that we're taking care of the people and the children, and that things aren't being exploited for our benefit in the U.S. But You know, but as I think about these trade missions, I mean, I've had the opportunity to go around the world on some organized trade missions, and then just exploring things out of curiosity. I mean, I've been to Fiji to go to the gold mines. I've been to Tanzania to go to the Tanzanite mines. Zambia for emeralds and copper and gold. I've been able to travel around the world for different exhibitions and trade shows, many places in the U.S. Me and my brother, we went to Italy, to Vincenza. I took my daughter to Venice, and not to Venice, but Arezzo, where a lot of the jewelry is manufactured. I took my son to Basel, Switzerland, to the big Basel watch show. I've been to Istanbul for the Istanbul show. I've been to India multiple times on both trade missions and trade shows. And they call me a delegate. You know, it took me a while to get used to that term, that I'm a delegate. But anyways, we arrived here, and our first day of journey, we had to drive about 5 hours north up into the mountains. And our first stop was a artisanal gold mine to where they were basically panning for gold. It was very interesting how they had to go about doing that. I can't tell you I'm an expert at understanding it all, but it was very interesting to see the process of them digging out the earth and then washing it and then panning for the gold dust. Very tedious and time-consuming job, and there's just not a lot to be found, but there's enough to be found to give them a life. And then from there we went up to the diamond mines, and that was really interesting to see what it takes to mine a diamond. And again, these are more artisanal mines, and it's hard to know the origin of these because they're like washed up from different places. But the region obviously is Sierra Leone, but I don't know, it's just been really eye-opening for me. I mean, I've been in this industry all my life and had no idea. You know, I've heard stories, I've read about different things, but to actually come here and experience, to meet the artisans or the panners, the people in the pit doing the work, it's really eye-opening to see what it really takes to do all that.
Hey, this is Doug Meadows with David Douglas Diamonds, coming live from Kona in Sierra Leone. Behind me is the diamond, artisanal diamond, and I just wanted to start out my video with this welcome to Sierra Leone.
And then from there, we spent an evening, and then yesterday there was one renowned diamond that was found here in this area in Kono. It's called the Peace Diamond. And the Peace Diamond, you know, it was discovered by a miner, and the way it kind of works is you have these the people in the water doing the panning and washing of the stones and stuff, looking for a diamond. And out of that, I'll put it in the description, but I mean, I think it was 700 plus carat diamond rough, a beautiful stone. You know, the landowner is the one that really gets to kind of control the destiny of where that diamond goes. And that particular diamond, the Peace Diamond, the gentleman that found it decided to be legitimate about it and take it through the proper channels. And so there's a gentleman within our industry, his name's Martin Rappaport. He's actually one that organized, well, his son, Izzy, organized this trade mission. And really, I think that part of this trade mission is for us to just be educated and exposed to what it really takes. But that particular diamond, Martin Rappaport helped this gentleman take it to market and get it auctioned off at, again, I'll put the exact numbers and details in the description, but around $7 million. And not a good chunk, but a lot of money came back to the community, to the area. The Rappaports have been able to develop a school there now and a hospital to give back to that community that discovered that diamond. And that's what we did yesterday, is we visited the school to see what the needs were, what's going on there. They're currently on a project to add a high school now. And it was quite the welcome that we received coming to the village. And it was quite the ride to get there too, because it's out in the middle of nowhere. But you know, it's hard for me to share this total experience, but it was quite the experience, and we had a great time. But I'm looking forward today. Well, and then last night we went to I don't know, kind of like we went into town into Kono to where they have an organized group of diamond dealers. And when I say diamond dealers, I'm talking rough diamonds. I'm not talking, you know, cut and polish, but rough diamonds. And so we got to hear some of their challenges, some of their concerns, and discuss that a little bit. Today, we're going to a place called Gem Fair to learn more. And every step along the way is definitely eye-opening and learning experience for me. But I wish I was a good videographer to where I could really give you a much better story behind all this stuff. And possibly I can find some things that I can put some links down in the description to give you a better idea of you know, what all this looks like and what transpires. But it gives me a new appreciation for the diamonds that we offer in our store. You know, some of our diamonds, so all of our diamonds, so part of this war that happened here in Sierra Leone, it birthed a really good thing. It's called the Kimberley Process. And the Kimberley Process guarantees or validates the origin of the stone and that it is what we call conflict-free. So it wasn't used to fund any wars or any other types of bad things that are unethical. And so all of our diamonds are absolutely Kimberley Process certified. And then more than that, I always also look for even more transparency with it. We also sell Canadian diamonds to where they have a definite, almost like a birth certificate that goes along with that stone, how big the piece of rough, which mine it came out of, and it carries it through the process so that by the time it comes to you as a consumer, you know transparently where that thing started and that it ended up in a beautiful ring on your hand. But you know, here at David Douglas, we really embrace fair trade, sustainability, ethically sourced supplies, both in our materials, our gold and our platinum, and in our diamonds. You know, there's so many initiatives out there to take a market that over the years, I think with any industry, we all go through these progressions of almost like the Wild Wild West. You know, it's every man for himself, and you know, anything to make a buck. But you know, as we develop and we realize that there's more to life than just money, and more to life than just all these shiny baubles that we put together. You know, we want to do good with what we within our industry and with the opportunities that are out there. And this is just one way that David Douglas Diamonds tries its best to do good in the industry and in the world. And I just thank you for coming along on this journey with me. I'll be here another week, and I'll give you a final story at the end of my stay here, and as I begin to make my way home sometime in another week. But thanks for joining, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you.